everyone, welcome to Prehab Moto. We're going to go over 5 exercises that are going to help the hips improve their mobility and also their strength, because those two things go together. So, strength and mobility need to coexist because we need to be able to be mobile and go through full ranges of motion while also being strong. Typically, a tight muscle tends to be a weak muscle, so when we stretch it and we don't strengthen it, we're playing a little bit of tug of war with ourselves. So we can help to improve our mobility by helping ourselves become stronger. So first things first is we're going to go over some floor exercises for the hips. The first one is called reverse butterfly. So this is going to help internally and externally work the femur sockets here inside of the pelvis. So first thing is we lie on our back, and we actually widen the feet out. So our typical butterfly would be with our feet together like such. So this is a reverse butterfly. So we're just going to bring our feet out wide, and then feet stay put, toes facing forward, and then the knees work inwards, and then we pull outwards as well. So that's our internal rotation here, and this is our external rotation here. Now while we're doing this nice and smooth, we're not trying to go fast with it because we really should be feeling quite a bit of stretching on the inside and also the hips. The feet can pick up and roll in as you come in, so shoes don't have to stay flat the whole time, but we do want to try to keep the feet get support. The less wide the feet are, the easier, and the wider they are, the harder. So personally, this is one of my favorite ones. I like to go through this every time I warm up for a workout or every time I'm going to go ride. So if I do about 20 of those for 2 rounds, it really helps to loosen up my hips. Simply, we just don't move that way. So those reverse butterflies get the hips moving in a different direction than they're used to, which they can help promote circulation of the joint itself, but also muscles surrounding it. Next one is 90-90 hip switches. So we stay on the floor for this as well. In pretty similar position, so we got our feet out wide, but this time we're gonna support ourselves with our arms and stay upright, and then we're just gonna fall to one side. So called 90-90 because I'm creating 90-90 bend in my knees, 90-90 in my ankles and my hips. So creating 90 degrees all the way through the body here, and I'm gonna support myself back and try and keep my chest facing forward while I swivel these hips left and right, or windshield wiper them back and forth. When we do this, do it about 10 per side for 2 to 3 rounds can help out a lot. We can also intensify this a little bit and take the hands away from support and control more muscularly and rotate our trunk to the side that we're turning towards. So that's another way of doing it, a little more intense. And then also, if you want to just work on a little bit of a stretch, we can actually turn to face away from our back leg, and that's going to help stretch out that TFL, tensor fascial lat muscle that I talked about in the anatomy video. So, a couple different methods to that. All 3 of them are really good. You just got to kind of find what's going to work best for you. It's a good combination to go off of after that reverse butterfly. Next thing is supine iso hip flexors. So typically we would do this with a band, but you don't have to. So if you have a circular band about this size, we can wrap it around the feet, and one leg would go out straight while lying on our back in the supine position, and then we would pull the leg up, and you can see how that band would stretch and give resistance to the hip flexors. And we can hold this for 20 to 30 seconds per side, switch it, pull it again, all while maintaining good core activation. Okay, so we don't want to feel ourselves completely lifting up and away from the floor, but we're not trying to get our backs flat to the floor. So that's actually a pretty poor cue, is to try and pull the belly button down. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to create tension in the core while pulling the hip flexors away, feet away from each other. So 20 to 30 seconds on each side, 2 to 3 rounds. Just like everything else, is going to really help the psoas muscles get stronger, which tend to be a very tight muscle because we tend to sit a lot. So strengthening that muscle up and then going into your typical, hip flexor stretch in this position is going to be more effective than just going into the stretch. We have a kneeling hamstring stretch, so pretty easy since I'm already in the kneeling position. So we're just going to kick our leg out in front of us here. We're going to pull the toe back towards us, and then we're going to lean down towards that foot and draw that hip backwards, which is going to create a really good stretch there. We can also kind of back off a little bit, move back into it a couple times. So really good hamstring stretch, really effective. Of course, you can put something on the floor to support your knee, make it a little more comfortable for it. So that one has a hamstring stretch, about 20 to 30 seconds, but like I've said in other stretches, we want to feel a sense of release when we're doing stretches. So for somebody that might be 20 seconds, for another person it might be 40 seconds. So you need to listen to how your body is responding with the stretches to tell you how it's feeling. If you got a sense of relief from it, you can either go further into the stretch or call it good on the stretch for the day. Last one, and the fifth one, is the strengthening exercise that is going to help strengthen the hips, hamstrings, quads, everything. So the deadlift. So I got a kettlebell here. I'm going to use a kettlebell for the deadlift today. But of course we can use barbells, we can use dumbbells as well for the deadlift. But the kettlebell is a good piece of equipment that is multifaceted, so we're going to use that for our demonstration today. So if we're deadlifting with a kettlebell, we're going to stand over the top of the kettlebell, and I like to have people line the handle of the kettlebell up with their laces, either at the top or the bottom, really depends on the person in their shin length, because that changes the angle of the way that they're moving. So for me, I go about right to the bottom of my laces. Now, the deadlift is a hip hinge, so that means that my hips are going to move more horizontally comparatively to our squat, which is a hip flexion, which is going to be more vertically, like such. So deadlift, hips go back, squat, hips go down. Okay, so we can see the difference there. A really good cue on this is, imagine you had a tail and somebody pulled it. What that would do, that would draw the chest down, and it would also push your butt backwards. So we're going to push our butt backwards towards the wall behind us. The knees are going to remain softened, so we don't want them locked out. We want them softened, but we're not going to bend through them because now we're squatting. So the hips go back, the knees are soft. I'm going to keep a neutral spine, and neutral is a range, of course. It's actually not one single spot. It's a little bit different for everyone, of course. But we want to be engaging these muscles in the back, so you should be able to feel back here and feel those muscles turned on. They are involved, but they are not the lifters. They're going to be isometric and supporting of the core. And then anything else that we need to get down there, we bring our chest down towards our thighs, and we can bend our knees a little bit more as well. From there, the head stays neutral with the rest of the spine, and then push the floor away, stand up tall, look to the horizon, and then drop back down, touch, and rise. Form on this is going to look a little bit different if we're using a barbell, because the bar needs to clear our knees so that we're not smacking ourselves with it. So it tends to push the butt back a little bit further so that it can create separation for the knees there. But if we're using a dumbbell, we can use it vertically and kind of hook underneath one of the heads, or we can use two of them together like such. But the kettlebell is a really good tool, of course. Weight-wise is going to be different for everyone. So, this is going to be one of our strongest lifts outside of like a leg press. So weight can get really high with this really quickly, but we want to be smart and make sure that we're building appropriately up to those heavier weights. So for the time being, a good place to start if you're new to the deadlift is doing about three sets, 10 to 12 reps. That's going to give you a lesser weight, more reps, more time also for you to practice your form and get it down before you start increasing the weight and lowering the repetitions to accommodate that intensity. So those are our 5 different things for the hips. We have some mobility with it, we have some stretching, and then we have some strengthening. So really covering a really good portion of the hips, pelvis, and all the muscles and bones that surround it. Hope these help you out. Look forward to the next one.